Home prices fell, yet affordability didn't improve. In some cases, buying a home became even more expensive. That seems counterintuitive. If prices decline, housing should become easier to afford. But in housing, price is only part of the equation. The answer lies in how affordability is actually determined. Housing affordability is often discussed in terms of price alone. Lower prices are assumed to make homes more accessible, while higher prices are seen as the primary barrier to entry. But most buyers do not purchase homes with cash. They finance them. This means affordability is driven by monthly payments, not just purchase price. When financing conditions change, affordability can shift even if prices move in the opposite direction. Understanding this relationship explains why housing can feel unaffordable even when prices stabilize or decline. The most common misunderstanding in housing is treating price as the primary driver of affordability. In reality, most buyers experience housing through monthly payments. Mortgage principal, interest, taxes, and insurance combine into a recurring cost that determines whether a purchase is feasible. A lower purchase price does not guarantee a lower monthly payment. This distinction is critical because buyers qualify based on payment, not price. Economic discussions often focus on price because it is visible and easy to compare. But affordability depends on the structure of financing. This means that changes in borrowing conditions can offset or even outweigh changes in price. If affordability is determined by payments rather than price alone, then falling prices do not necessarily make housing more accessible. Interest rates are one of the most powerful drivers of housing affordability. Even small changes in rates can significantly alter monthly payments. When interest rates rise, the cost of borrowing increases. Buyers must either reduce their purchase price or accept higher monthly payments. This creates a compression effect on purchasing power. A buyer who could afford a certain price at a lower rate may qualify for significantly less when rates increase. This reduction in borrowing capacity limits effective demand. Importantly, interest rates adjust quickly. Unlike home prices, which change gradually, borrowing costs can shift rapidly in response to economic conditions. This creates a mismatch in adjustment speed. Payments can increase immediately, while prices adjust slowly. As a result, affordability can worsen even when prices begin to decline. Affordability is also constrained by lending standards. Buyers must meet debt-to-income requirements, credit thresholds, and down payment expectations. These criteria determine whether a buyer can qualify for financing. When borrowing costs rise, qualification becomes more restrictive. Higher monthly payments increase debt-to-income ratios, pushing some buyers out of eligibility. This creates a step function effect. Buyers do not gradually reduce their demand. They drop out of the market entirely once they no longer qualify. This reduces transaction volume without immediately forcing prices lower. Because access to housing is filtered through financing constraints, affordability depends on qualification thresholds as much as price levels. This structural filter explains why demand can contract sharply even when prices appear stable. Housing prices are slow to adjust. Sellers anchor to past comparable sales and expectations. When conditions change, they do not immediately reduce prices. Instead, listings remain active longer. Negotiations expand. Price reductions occur gradually. This creates a lag between payment changes and price adjustments. When rates increase, monthly payments rise immediately. When demand weakens, prices respond slowly. This timing mismatch produces periods where affordability deteriorates despite stable or declining prices. The market absorbs this imbalance through reduced activity rather than rapid repricing. Affordability is not determined by a single variable. It reflects the interaction between price, interest rates, income, and financing structure. Changes in one variable can offset or amplify changes in another. A decline in price may improve affordability only if financing conditions remain stable. If borrowing costs rise at the same time, the net effect may be neutral or negative. Over time, housing markets adjust to restore balance. Prices may gradually realign with income levels and borrowing conditions. But this process occurs slowly, through extended periods of constrained demand and shifting expectations. Affordability is therefore dynamic, not static. For owners, price stability does not guarantee stable demand. Affordability constraints can reduce buyer participation even if prices remain unchanged. For renters and buyers, monthly payments determine access to ownership. Changes in interest rates may have a larger impact than changes in price. For investors, demand is shaped by financing conditions. Market activity depends on borrower qualification as much as pricing levels. For the broader market, affordability pressures reshape housing markets gradually. Transaction volume often declines before prices adjust. Home prices can fall without improving affordability because price is only one part of the equation. Interest rates, financing structure, and income determine whether buyers can actually afford a home. Understanding this system explains why housing can remain difficult to access even when prices decline. Subscribe for market insights. Link in description for additional analysis.